everyone. Welcome to another episode of Critical Critique Pulls a Point. Today we're going to be looking at a very hot video. Very
hot takes.
Hot takes on hot shows, right?
I'd say it's a bit of a flamer of a take.
I mean, the title alone. I mean, that's some spicy meatballs right there.
Somebody's ass is about to get burnt.
How many more fire jokes?
How many fire jokes can we fit into one episode?
Well, smoke also allowed.
Oh yeah, what is this? When there's smoke, there's fire. So yeah, we came across this one.
Well, we didn't come across this one. Guy I know from or on Discord, Drax, if you're watching, thank you, sweetheart. But he just came across this video. And, I looked at the title, and I got, I would say, 6 minutes in. And I was like,
right.
Okay, we have to cover this.
Alright, well, you're gonna get your wish, because, I guess we'll just, before we get going, we'll just say, yeah, I've watched Fire Force, I thought it was alright.
Yeah.
I think it's got pacing issues, but, the pacing's a bit too quick in parts, but it's fine. It's pretty well animated. It's got good fight scenes. It's got good choreography. It's got some interesting powers going on at play. So
fun characters and all that.
Yeah. It's a fun little show. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, same.
Opening,
but apparently it's a farce going by the title of this.
Yeah. Apparently. Oh well, then I guess we'll jump right into it. Let's see what this guy reckons makes Fire Force terrible.
So I heard Fire Force was getting a second season, and it made me realize I never really gave the show a chance back when it first started, so I decided to go back and watch all of Season 1.
Commendable.
And boy, was I surprised by what I found. I'm going to start by saying some nice things about this show, because there are a small number of things about it that I legitimately
Small
love.
amounts.
Well, I mean, it's good that he's starting with the positive, I guess.
Yeah, well, you're already coaching it, and
see,
okay,
let's
I don't
talk
hate this show.
Yeah,
I just have a few problems with it.
I don't hate this show. It's just terrible.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about a word I like to call framing. Right, how you frame things is very important in a video. Right. So the way this guy has framed his video from looking at the title, right, is that he has already made up his mind, right? He's already made up his mind. He thinks it's terrible. This video, supposedly, is going to be trying to convince us that it's terrible. But because he knows he's going to get shit for this, right, because Fire Force is a very popular show, right? So obviously there's going to be, fanboys and fangirls that are going to defend the shit out of it, right? He's opening up in the first bit trying to be diplomatic, right? He's trying to frame it differently than how he's presented it initially so that he can catch those people off guard and go, no, guys, look, I wasn't too hard on it, guys. Look, I said some positive things, right?
Yeah, and that's also the other thing you can do with this is that, when you do get criticism, you can point to, your fans or whatever and be like, wow, these people are so unreasonable. I said one or two things and they're fucking nailing me to the cross over this.
Yeah, so that's, I see what you're doing here, mate. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, the good old, was it Mountain Bailey? I never forget that.
I don't know.
Oh, it's the thing where you have a very defensible position and a controversial position. And whenever you make your argument, you argue for the controversial, but whenever you are challenged on it, you retreat to the defensible position.
Isn't that meme with the fuck, what is it? It's like a fucking village, and then there's a hill with a castle on top. There's some meme about this, where it's like, yeah, you have like the town, which is somewhat defensible, but it's more, and then you
I
have
have
the
no
castle
idea
on
what
the
you're
top.
talking about.
I know.
Well,
I'm going into the fucking weeds. It just reminds me of some meme I saw.
Well,
Should've
basically,
saved it.
if I say all anime is trash, controversial opinion, and then you say, well, can you say all anime is trash? You got this and this and this. Well, I just mean that anime has style issues as a genre.
Right.
And that is a far more defensible position than a controversial position. But when you
Right.
attack me, I go back, well, I have just a few problems with this and this. And then I can still return to my original position. All anime is trash, because that's never really attacked.
Alright.
Because I retreat right away.
And it's one of those things where it's like, it's almost like a negotiation tactic, right? You know, you have your ridiculous offer, and then you kind of argue the person down to what you really want to argue about.
Yep.
But in arguments, you never back down from your controversial opinion. You just claim you've won because your controversial opinion was never shut down.
Right. Well, let's keep going. See what his let's see what his positives are.
Maki is the absolute best character in this entire series. Everybody
I don't know why, but when I hit play, it seems to be skipping a few seconds.
Well, we were talking maybe over the sound of him saying
well-
Maki is a good character.
Alright, well, I'll pull it back just a little bit, just to try and be... Yeah. Let's see
things
what happens.
about that I legitimately love.
Alright.
Maki is the absolute best character in this entire series. Everybody's first reaction was to yell, "Oh man, look at this fit girl," but she's so much more than just that. She's a lovable, multifaceted goofball that never has a bad scene. She wears a witch hat and takes every opportunity to anthropomorphize a flame even if it isn't at all necessary, and just genuinely loves what she does. Being in the Fire Force really means something to her. It represents Maki getting her life on track. She used to be in the military, but was struggling, despite always working twice as hard as every other soldier in her unit, because no matter how much effort she put in, it never felt like she was making a difference.
Can you pause real
I
quick?
heard there.
Yeah, no, the more general problem of explaining why you like a character.
I was just gonna let him kind of waifu fag there for a little bit, because that's clearly what he's doing, is
Yeah.
he's waifu fagging.
I don't have the answers myself right away, but I find Mother's Basement does this with entire shows and scenes. But
Yeah, he's just explaining the character, where, like, he could have just capped this off on "I like the character."
well, and
Right.
you know,
I don't
the
feel
contrast. Show
Yeah,
the contrast. I like her. Go on, but this is
Wait,
too
wait.
much.
I think I know why. Look at the video length.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes, right? But I feel like, yeah, you could have cut this off at just "I like the character, she's cute."
For these
You
reasons.
know, she's
reasons.
cute like that. Like, going into the explanation of who the character is not necessarily necessary
The
to make this
backstory, at
point,
least.
right? I get the point he's trying to make. The point he's trying to make is, I want to fuck this girl, right? That's the point he's trying to make. Let's not beat around the bush, right? He is waifuing really hard on this character, and that's
Let's
fine.
not beat around the bush. He wants to beat the bush, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Like, let's like, I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. It's just, like, consider, like, what's necessary for the point of the video, right? And I mean, I don't even disagree with him. She's a good character. You know, I don't disagree. And I think I vaguely remember, I was actually expecting him to go into the fact, like, he kind of touched on how people were like, "Oh, look, she's just muscle, fancy." Because there was a lot of that when the show started, and people were reading about, "Oh, this show disrespects the women."
You're going to love this video.
Really?
But
Okay.
just to maybe finish this topic off, what I think the why I like this character bit was fine until he started going into her backstory in the military. That I think
Yeah.
beyond that wasn't really needed. I think.
I agree. So let's keep going. See if he's got any other things he likes.
She didn't want to fight people. She wanted to save them. Being
So,
recruited
speaking
into
of
Company
bushes,
8
do you
was the
think
best
Maki
thing that could
shaves
have ever
enough?
happened to her. She has this running gag about how she wishes she could be more feminine, and it comes off as something
so
that's
maybe
always
she
in
does.
the back of
Yeah,
her mind
that's
that
the
she
thing.
tries not to think.
Yeah, this is going on way too long, eh? God damn it.
Hey, it's only a minute 17. Can't you guys pay attention?
No, but like, the thing is it feels like his wife. It's going on, right? Like, come on, mate. Next point. Let's go. Come on. I don't have all day. To
How
fucking...
how much Maki porn do you think he has on his hard drive?
Quite a bit.
More than the other characters.
More than the other characters, yeah, probably quite a bit. It's just like, come on, dude. I get it. You like the character. Let's move on. Come on.
Think about, because while she's proud of everything she's accomplished, she's still self-conscious about the way she thinks people might see her. I'm pretty impressed at how well this character is able to be a perfect balance of several conflicting character types without ever leaning into one as the dominant trait, instead forming one unique character from the totality of them all. Her powers aren't that strong, which means she...
Isn't that like what characters are? Though?
No, you mean you got more two-dimensional characters, and
well, obviously you have characters that are worse than others, but isn't the whole point of making a character to attempt to make them three-dimensional, right? Like,
not always. Sometimes with like side characters or
I guess,
mascots, like they don't need to be that complex. You know?
True, but I
And
mean,
honestly, with what I've watched of Fire Force, I think he's also kind of overselling the complexity of her character specifically to try to, again, bargain.
yeah, because let's be real, she's not like really. I don't
It's
think actually
Gatmoe. It's Gatmoe.
Yeah.
She's the really strong character who's really physically adept. You know, you'd
I
expect
don't
her to
think
kind of be like a butch tomboy or something like that, but she's actually really feminine. Like that's it.
Or
He's
wants to
describing
be.
Gat. Yeah, he's describing Gatmoe, but probably doesn't know what that term is.
There's also the fact I'm trying to remember, but did she actually get an arc in the first season? Actually,
well,
I'm not
you
sure.
you get to see her backstory in the military.
Yeah,
that
but
fleshes
did
her
she-
out a little bit more.
yeah, but I don't think she got like as much development in the first season as some of the other characters, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, I agree. I think he's kind of overstating this a little bit. But yeah, come on, stop waifu fagging. Let's get on. Come on.
has to be creative about how she uses them. Any weakness of her pyrokinesis is more than made up for by the fact that she's ex-military and has years of training in unarmed combat, letting her fight with a hybrid style that utilizes her physical strength in tandem with her ability to control fire. It's because this
all of
character
these
has
videos
such
kind
clearly
of-
defined strengths and weaknesses
Yeah,
to her combat
every character
ability
does
that
this,
Maki's
though.
fight scenes
This
are,
is the
in my
issue.
opinion, the best fights in the entire
All these
show.
all these videos
I mean, there's
kind
a really
of
cool
like
sniper showdown near the end of the season, and we'll get to the main
pause real
character's fight.
quick. All these videos really do just kind of like blend together at some point, right?
I mean, yeah,
Like I've
it's
seen this video before. We've never covered this YouTuber. I only fucking knew about him because Drax pointed him out to me. But like, I've seen this video before. It's kind of insane how you know, with how fairly young, you know, YouTube videos are, just like everything just feels the same sometimes. There's like
well,
an established
I wanna-
formula for like vaguely informative
Yeah.
content.
It's weird because even the cadence of his voice is familiar. You know, the way
I
that
know.
he's speaking, the lo-fi Persona music, right?
The lo-fi Persona music, he sounds like he eats nothing but soy. You know, that whole thing going on.
And he's spending like 2 minutes waifu fagging. You know, now he's finally seeming to move into something else.
We could save Anatube if we were able to like erase Persona music from existence, because then they'd have to use something else.
just destroy Persona.
It's for the good of all anime.
Finally, mainline SMT will be good again.
Yeah. God. Alright, I think he stopped waifu fagging, so let's see what he has to
Against the big bad later. But none of those were nearly as fun as watching Maki get in the zone and do her thing. No matter if she was outmatched or fighting
Come
someone
on!
overpowered. She fights smart and she uses all the tools at her disposal, and it's a lot of fun to watch. But let's move on from Maki and talk about my favorite moment that involved
Finally.
any of the other characters. There's a joke near the end of the season that hit just right for me. Sister Iris is standing between two Tamakis, one real and one imposter whose face has just been altered to look like Tamaki. And the real Tamaki is like, look, it's me, here are my powers, and also that other one has the voice of an old man. And the imposter Tamaki, who is just an old man in disguise, just says, hey, you can't trust her, I'm the real me, in his regular old man voice. And Sister Iris is just standing there in the middle going, well, they both make good points. I love it. It's dumb, but I love it.
It was a good joke.
Yeah, it was good. Alright. I don't know, it's annoying because there's not really a whole lot to unpack here. It's like,
no, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that.
Alright, I'll take your word for it.
Sister Iris funny moments like this throughout the season, but none work as well as this. It's just awesome. The last thing I'll say is that this season has a number of pretty outstanding design choices that go above and beyond.
Damn. I wonder why.
I wonder what
Well, let's continue until he gets to there.
Alright.
Above and beyond what you would expect to see from establishing shots. Sometimes it's just a little detail, sometimes it's a pretty dramatic use of color, but every time it happens, it elevates the scene by taking advantage of the artistic medium the story's being presented in. All great stuff. I wish there was more of it. Unfortunately, all of the things I just praised are the only good examples of any of those things in this entire season.
What is that supposed to... Pause. I didn't notice that when I first watched this. What the hell is that supposed to mean at top? This is not a screen cap, this is recorded video. Like,
oh no, the characters are not moving. And
in the context of the scene, that was a cooldown moment. That was after a major action scene happened. That was the characters kind of like ruminating on everything that went down.
And
no, there's not a lot of motion in the scene where you're supposed to be ruminating and reflecting while the characters are going through shit in their head.
There's not a lot of motion in a typical anime, two characters talking while not actually moving. You know?
Unless you want to go full Bakemonogatari.
Yeah, and even on top of that, like, even if it is a still frame...
Shaft.
That even if it is a still frame in this instance, you know, he was talking about use of artistic visuals and stuff like that. This is a pretty well laid out scene, like in terms of where everything is placed, how things are lit.
Yeah, like you don't. Yeah, sure. You don't need to have everything moving all the time, right? Like, you don't. Sometimes you don't need.
Something could be said about, since it is, you know, an animated medium, there should be more movement, but like, I think in this case it is more forgivable because they're working on a very specific time scale, you know, because they're having to get this out weekly. And the scene before this, like right before this, was a major action scene. Yeah.
If I was gonna be charitable to this point, right? If I was gonna be charitable to this, I would argue that, okay, maybe there could have been some smoke, maybe there could have been some moving clouds. Maybe there could have been some, like, motion somewhere in the scene, right? Like, somewhere, right? Just something small. Whatever. But it's, like, such a minor thing. It's like a nitpick, almost, right? So it's such a small little detail. If this was the case for a lot of the show, maybe. But I haven't seen any examples yet. He might go into that, because, again, I'm going in blind, I don't know. But if he's going to make a point out of this, then he's going to need to kind of back it up a bit more, I reckon. So let's see if he does.
Every well-done composition and striking use of color, there's an entire scene of exposition being delivered over a single JPEG that we don't cut away from for 2 minutes.
I don't know about that one, Chief. Again, the way he frames that is very, very interesting. Like, it's just exposition happening in front of a JPEG.
Yeah, he's ignoring why this is happening in context of the scene.
Yeah, it's like
also exaggerating, but you know, hyperbole is just the name of the game at this point.
Yeah. You gotta be fancy to catch all the kiddies.
Or sloppy editing full of awkward interstitial cuts that make no sense with the flow of the scene. The rest of the show's comedy boils down to...
Is that supposed to be an example of that?
Yeah, he's hating on the first scenes of the show being erratic and illogical.
I didn't even
Where?
notice. yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like
the scene right there. If you were to just go back a little bit, well, you don't have
okay.
to. But
Let's benefit of the doubt, right? Let's have a look. So let's
we don't cut away from for 2 minutes, or sloppy editing full of awkward interstitial cuts that make no sense with the flow of the scene.
So
the rest of the show.
How does that not make sense? He was trying to step in front of him after seeing after that the whole incident where he saved Iris, and he blocked him off.
He stopped him.
Yeah, and he shows him putting his foot in front of him to show that he blocked him. He is showing the physical motion of him.
No, you're misremembering slightly. That is when they first appear. Shinra is. Yeah, this is when they first appear, and the Infernal is on the station. Shinra isn't being revealed to be a member yet, so he's just a civilian. Shinra, as a newly Special Fire Force member, takes a step forward. He's turning his body and moving forward, but then is immediately blocked by the man in uniform, getaway civilian.
Yeah, I don't see any I didn't feel like there was any jarringness within that scene, even watching it at the time, right? Like,
if anything, it explains something that's revealed a bit later.
Yeah, it feels like he is looking specifically for stuff like that in a sense, right? Because sometimes that happens with people that.
Well, he needs to prove that the show that a lot of people like is terrible.
Oh yeah, but I've found that a lot of people that do this kind of thing.
Now, Naretsu, just a little bit here. Why do you think he's nitpicking about these very specific things? What do you think his real issue with the show is going to end up being?
I think I've got a pretty good idea from the hints that you've been dropping, and from I think we're gonna get into that right now because he's about to talk about the humor of the show. So I'm. Man, this is gonna be time. Maybe I might get a rant in this episode. This will be.
Oh, you are.
Oh boy. Okay, let's get it over with then.
This comedy boils down to giving a handful of characters a supremely annoying trait and then just having them do that every time they're on screen. Arthur roleplaying as a knight wasn't funny the first time he did it, and then he never stopped doing it.
Okay.
First of all, fuck you, because that was endearing, especially in the scene. Okay, so speaking of comedy, remember the first major... Well, I forget what action scene it was, but there was one action scene where, like, he's fighting this character, and he's getting his ass kicked, and he's like, oh, what the hell is going on? Like, why am I getting my ass kicked? And then he realizes... Oh wait, that's right, I'm right-handed. And he's been using his left hand the entire time because he thought it made it look cooler. So he switches over and suddenly he goes into like, oh, now he's really actually kicking ass.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was funny.
And it's a really good visual gag too, because they even animate him like just swapping hands nonchalantly.
Yeah, and then he just
it was the fight with the 5th Brigade.
Yeah. So I want to talk about this because this is interesting because he's ignoring actually quite a lot about this character.
He's ignoring how these traits are used.
Yeah. So, because this is the thing, right? He is correct that on the offset, it seems like just an annoying character trait. But the thing with annoying character traits like this is it more matters what the reasons are behind them and why the characters do what they do. Which, funnily enough, in the last episode I watched of Season 2, they actually kind of touch into this with him.
But before we know, I think
we're not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna fault him for, because obviously Season 2 wouldn't have been out by the time he put the. Yeah, so I'm not saying that. Oh, he should be omnipotent, whatever fuck, right? Like
or
see the future and see, or just read the manga, right? But there's even hints about this later on in the season when there's the fucking great gag with the horse. Right? And you come to understand that part of his character is that he's fucking delusional, right? But his delusion is actually what's powering him up, right? The fact that he's delusional as a character trait is intrinsically tied to who he is as a person, right?
He has
And it's
Shinibyo, which is not an
Yeah, he's a
unusual
Shinny,
character trait for some people to have in
Yeah.
anime.
And that's the point, right? Of the thing, right? And you could argue, okay, yeah, it's annoying, and that's fine. If you're not into it, you're not into it. But to just boil his entire character down to that trait without actually like analyzing the internal reasons behind it, as well as, you know, how the trope is being used in a sense.
Well, what I think is more importantly is how the other characters react to it. Is the annoying character accepted, encouraged, and whatever, or is the annoying character beaten up when he's
getting the
annoying?
shit kicked out of him right now.
And how funny is it to see a character being annoying and the next shot is him being kicked in the face?
Well, this is Fiber's fetish right here. He wants to have his ass kicked by Maki. He hates, you know, he hates
Arthur?
Arthur because, yeah. I'm trying to remember the
I-
names because it's actually been a minute since I
Yeah,
watched
yeah,
the first
yeah.
season, but he hates Arthur's character because that character probably reminds him of himself. So when
Psychoanalysis.
I'm
of
getting some
YouTubers.
psychoanalysis here. So
Let's go.
when
Let's go.
when Maki is kicking his ass, his PP gets a little bit hard. That's my theory.
God.
That's my game theory.
So completely ignoring, you know, the actual, you know, characters.
Well,
But
my point really is how he's being treated. When Arthur is annoying, is either he gets his shit kicked in because he's annoying,
Or it's
Two.
recognized. Oh, hang on. Or it's recognized that he's being cringed by the other characters.
he's being cringe in general, or it's being annoying to the enemy, which causes confusion, a little bit of comedy and unexpected moments. And four, whenever he's arguing with Shinra, and it's becomes a real conversation about morals in some way, how the two characters view the world.
Yeah.
Also, the way he said it, okay, this is again getting a bit into psychoanalysis here, but the way how he phrased that, I didn't like it the first time, and I sure as hell didn't like it. The way his voice inflected, a lot like Mother's Basement, actually. Is Mother's Basement a little brother or something?
Oh no.
Probably not.
Okay, if there is one person you don't want to be imitating, it's fucking. Oh no! All right, let's see what else he has to say about this. Nope. Yeah, I don't know what it is. If we pause for a while, it seems to skip forward a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it's resyncing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably it. My connection's kind of garbo.
Alright, that's fine. I'll just take it back a little bit. It's fine.
Doing it. Shinra and Arthur bickering every single time they were ever in the same room was tedious and boring and felt like the writers just wanted a way to kill time.
Okay,
The
but
Riders.
do you not,
Of the show.
do you not? Here's the thing. Do you not understand why they're bickering? Right? There is a clear difference in the way that they see. Like again, we mentioned it a little bit before. Like they see the world differently. They're on like two completely different planes of existence. So naturally, they're going to clash. Like hell, I've had friends where like we fucking do this in real life. Ellie, you and me sometimes view the world on two completely different planes, and we argue about it.
What do you
Fucking
mean?
hell.
I'm just arguing from
I
reality.
would pay to have somebody animate Ellie and Naretsu's arguments.
Yeah. We've fucking done it in videos before. We've fucking gone at it. Like this is something
Either that, or it
people
just needs to be
do,
synced
like-
over wrestling footage or something.
So just get the fucking Sony Vegas out and put the avatars on top of the faces. Just fucking fuck you, Ellie. No. So yeah, he's ignoring like the actual like what's going on, right? Like why are these two characters acting like this? Like he's reacting to the thing, but he's not actually deeply analyzing exactly why it's happening.
Well,
Because if you understand
deeply
why it's
analyzing
happening.
I don't think you need deeply analyzing.
Oh no, you don't. Yeah, you don't need. He's not even analyzing it at all. Right? He's not even.
Because
He's not
you know,
even stopping.
Shinra and Arthur are friends,
Yeah,
and
they're friends.
I believe that even in the OP, the first OP, I forget a little bit about it already. It's Shinra holding Arthur's hand as they help each other defeat that big giant thing.
Yeah, they even knew each other in the past. It's
Yes.
it's a male rivalry type of thing.
They went to fucking school together.
And they trust each other completely in battle, in their how competent they are and all that stuff. So
I mean, it even kind of like how their how their personalities clash too. You know, you have Arthur, who is far more delusional. He has the whole Chunibyo thing going on because he's kind of sheltered, so he sees the whole being part of the Fire Force as a very romantic thing. Whereas with Shinra, he had tragedy happen to his family, right? So he has firsthand experience. He probably has a more realistic understanding, if a bit cynical understanding of how the Infernos work and everything. And he has a stated goal of trying to see if he can find his younger brother.
and Mother.
And Mother,
So
yeah.
here's the thing. So here's the thing.
So he's ignoring. Now, mind you, there's a reason why he's ignoring all this, because again, this isn't his actual gripe about the show. Again,
This is all fluff. This is all the fluff.
I think you're probably thinking what I'm thinking, and we're gonna get to that in a few minutes. But yeah, he's very purposely ignoring the context of why they bicker.
Yeah, and that's annoying, because I hate it when people do this, right? Because I get that there's a lot of people that don't really engage with media on a more like.
But those people don't make YouTube
label.
videos.
Exactly. Those people just watch the show. They'll like it or they'll hate it. They might not understand why. They might not even care why. They'll just consume, right? Unironic consumers, right? They don't care. But when you're making a video like this and you're essentially advertising to the world that you're a consumer, you know, like you're essentially advertising.
He's going to
that
be
you don't
signaling
care.
something, and it isn't going to be that he's a consumer.
Damn, Lolly, I didn't know you could be so subtle.
Yeah, fuck, you're spoiling shit, mate. But anyway, let's keep
These episodes to 20 minutes. Tamaki's running gags of walking into a scene and immediately
Here we
tripping
go.
on nothing so she can awkwardly land in a sexual position, or just standing still only for her clothes
So that makes me laugh because I love these fucking gags. They're great. But all right, let him.
to randomly fly off was insultingly stupid. It's just as tedious and unfunny as Arthur's night bullshit, but worse, because hey, why don't we treat women like shit while we're at it?
Yeah.
Here we go.
They're
we go.
They're like three different things. First, Tamaki's sudden cloval removal is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I fucking laugh just watching.
It's absurd.
The gag kind of, I hate to use a TV trope term, but the gag kind of lampshades itself, because the way in which those things happen are absurd. It is not physically possible sometimes for it to happen, and it's made to be a bit of a point.
Yeah.
Also, I like how he immediately, without context, when he wanted to make a point about how this, and this is the actual spoiler. He thinks that he's upset that the show treat the women badly. I don't know why.
Does it though?
I wouldn't say. First of all, if it didn't really treat it that badly, if he already gave praise to like one female character being treated very well. So clearly, that isn't as prevalent of a problem as he's making it. But I like the clever editing he did here, where he specifically cut to a scene of a female character outside of context being tortured by what I'm going to assume is a villain. Mind you, it's not just female characters that get brutalized in this show. It's male characters as well. because they're fighting an enemy that doesn't care
So-
for people's physical well-being. They're willing to
Yes.
torch people.
So, Lily, I'm going to spoil the context of this scene because it's important. And the reason why this character isn't burned and only her clothes is because the person who is doing that knows Iris from her childhood and wants to push her away with shame and fear of fire.
There is also the fact that the person that loves this person is in the same vicinity, and this villain is trying to, you know, be a villain, do villainous things
Well, not I'm
to
se- I'm
antagonize
seeing-
to antagonize the, you know, the. Here's again, you can take these you know, quote unquote, right? I'm here quoting. You can't see me here quoting, but I'm here quoting. The quote unquote fan service, right? You can take these clips and you can completely remove them from context, and you can say, oh yeah, this it's sexist. Oh, it's bad. But as you're making the point, Ellie, if you actually consider the context of what's happening in this scene, it kind of makes sense, right? It actually kind of makes sense. for this
female
to be
childhood friend who grew up in the same church cloister, whatever it's called, where they were both raised as sisters or nuns, and Iris stayed as a religious figure. The other one does not. She
Are you confusing
dislike-
the characters? Because I think this is a different character, because this is the redhead chick.
No, I'm on my
Or are
screen.
you talking about...
I'm on
Oh,
my
you
screen. I have
oh,
Iris.
yeah, you've skipped ahead. That's the problem, because we're still on the redhead chick.
Oh
on,
well,
on our
I'm
end.
going to talk about the scene that is visible for me and the viewers at home.
Yes, because
Unfortunately.
you've got the magic powers of being the one that records the video.
Indeed, I have. So Iris is being like I said, Iris is being burned by her childhood friend who also grew up to be a nun. She doesn't want to be a nun anymore. Hates the older religious stuff. Iris is still a nun. She still loves Iris. Iris still loves her. They have a little bit of a fight. She's trying to push Iris away by burning off her clothes and making her scared of her, but it won't work, and instead we'll be friends again, and la 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 la.
Right, and then the
Oh,
other scene
fantastic.
and then the other cut scene previous with the redhead chick. It's a similar kind of thing where you have a character that has love interest or high emotional investment in the character that is currently being effectively tortured, right? And that's
Yeah.
what's happening, because the villain and or the antagonist within the particular scene is doing this for a particular reason. It's not just, we need an excuse to put boobs on the screen, because there are anime out there. Like, there's plenty of ecchi out there that will just throw the boobs in front of the screen for no fucking reason, right? And if you were talking about one of them, I'm gonna fucking cringe at you for being a cringy, but it's fine. Whatever. Ignorable. But when you're actively ignoring the context of what's going on to try and paint the show as, you know, sexist or whatever, that's where I'm gonna have a little bit of a problem. You know, we're gonna have a problem. Bit of an issue. So, alright, so what I'm gonna do is, because you've jumped ahead a little bit, I'm gonna move it back just a little bit to resync.
Redhead,
where we
mechanical
Yeah,
guy.
redhead. So yeah, redhead mechanical guy. Yeah, this part. Yeah, but let's get.
And like shit while we're at it. Remember every good thing I had to say about Maki? Take the exact opposite of all that, and you'll get how this show treats every other woman. The men all get to be big, tough badasses, and the women get to be beaten up.
What? What? The woman. What?
Isn't there a female character who her entire shtick is, literally stepping on other guys?
Yeah, that's the character you saw burning Iris.
Yeah.
What?
Maki
What?
Maki kicks some ass. She actually manages to save the main character a few times,
A few times, even
And-
fucking Tamaki
I want
fucking
to
has her
defend,
moment.
and I want to defend this scene on screen right here. This is a scene where her confidence, her belief, her resolve gets broken by the character who she looked up to all this time, who is to be revealed a dirty, dirty traitor and murderer and all that stuff.
This is so. Through the entire episode, it is established that Tamaki here. I'm pretty sure it's Tamaki. I always get the names.
Becca, I don't believe.
Micah. I don't fucking know. Cat girl, right? Cat girl.
Oh, no, the person who she looked up to.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know well, again, I think you're a head. I don't know because we've got girl on screen right now. For me, but it doesn't matter. It's the same scene. So it's established throughout the entire episode that she looks up to this dude. She's following him around. She's gushing over him. Oh, he's so perfect. He's so cool. Blah blah blah. And everyone else takes notice of this, and it's established very blatantly, right? So, yeah, she's gonna be a bit fucked when it turns out that this person that she's been looking up to is completely fucked, right? And is the traitorous whatever. And that's gonna affect the coming fight, and is most likely why she ends up losing to him, because it makes sense. Like, you're emotionally fucked. And then that's when, main character boy jumps in, saves the day, and then what ends up happening is she basically imprints to him instead, right? The savior.
I disagree with that, because she doesn't fall for Shinra. The damsel in distress is saved by the prince, the hero, but doesn't fall for the hero and just become colleagues.
Well, yeah. I'm not talking about love. I'm talking about admiration. I'm not talking about oh, she wants the D. I'm talking about, oh shit, this guy's pretty cool. I like this guy. This guy's cool. I'm gonna follow this guy. Right?
If the criticism is that it's following the trope, then it doesn't happen because she doesn't fall for the hero.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's what happened.
The hero doesn't get the girl as a reward for saving her.
Yeah, and that's and I'm not saying that's what happened. I just want to put that out. That's not what I'm
also
saying.
I like how we're both having to kind of extrapolate his argument at the same time as because of how poorly explained it is. Mind you, if you wanted to actually, do a character focus, on each of the characters, you probably could have extrapolated on these points rather than coming across as this is terrible, you shouldn't watch it, let me be really dismissive about it.
And he's being very disingenuous again with how he is.
Yeah, he's taking everything out of context. He's making claims he's not backing up. The male characters get their asses kicked.
Often, right?
There are cases where
I can buy arguments where the female characters in this show are treated differently and worse than the male characters, etc., etc., and that's a pattern. Etc., etc. But that isn't really being uncovered here by the arguments shown, by the scenes shown. That doesn't happen. And I'm sure you can find enough patterns to justify the argument that this show treats female characters worse, differently, etc. But not with these. Not with these arguments.
The issue is, like I've said before, is he's only looking at things surface level. He's not actually taking context into account or considering the motivations behind what's going on in any of these scenes. He's just going, oh, boob's bad. Oh no, this is the clothes that get ripped.
Yeah, that's honestly it. He saw a fan service scene and he was kind of upset. That's what I'm getting.
Oh no, oh no, my pee-pee feel weird, Lolly. My pee-pee feel weird. Oh no.
But more to the point though. I lost my train of thought there for a second.
Well, give me a. I'm not going to do it, but give me a day and I can construct an argument how even though Fire Force is shown to be some kind of multiculturalist society. The fact that the Japanese segment of the city is fiercely independent, strong, etc., shows some tendency of some good old Japanese imperialistic, etc., etc.
Good old imperialism and rolling gears. Am I right?
Indeed.
Damn, I love critical theory. You can make up all sorts of bullshit if you just
Yeah.
read between the lines and have an afternoon.
Right. So we've established what he's doing. I'm interested how long he's going to spend on this.
And,
This is where
Well, the
this is
thing
what
is,
I'm interested in.
he
now.
can't take any of these scenes in context he has to rob these scenes of this context when he's portraying them because they'll work against his argument, right? And on top of all of that, if he were to actually be able to sit down and find scenes that would, support his argument, that would require more work, and that would probably require him to watch an extra 24 episodes of a show he's already dismissive of and very clearly doesn't like.
Right.
He wants to make a criticism, but he's not willing to put in the footwork for it.
Yeah, he's not. So at this point, I'm more interested in how long he's going to spend on it because that will tell me a lot about him. So let's continue.
Held hostage and stripped. Even when they've got superpowers and know how to fight, they're only there to be abused, ogled, and rescued. I'm
We already
frankly
made this
amazed.
argument. This
it's
guy,
the same shit.
she looks up to him, etc. Power difference, relationship.
There's a lot more going on than what he is portraying, and I feel like that's the same for a lot of the examples that he's using. Right? It's like you said, Lottie. Like if he actually put in the work and actually tried to find like actual scenes, because then you could have an actual conversation about it. But because he's being so disingenuous about it, it's just like, come on. But yeah, let's keep going.
That Maki managed to be an exception to the horrible treatment every other female character in this show received. But that doesn't take anything away from the fact that the way this series treats women is fucking disgusting.
So you're telling me that this scene right here, with her crying, right, that was incredibly heavily animated, right? Because that was the point. It was an impactful, like all hope was lost, and then the hero
all trust
arrives.
was broken.
Yeah, all trust was broken. All hope was lost. She's literally thinking she's about to get framed for bullshit, and her entire life is about to be ruined, right? And then the hero comes in.
Former hero.
Yeah, by her hero. Yeah, again, the context, right? By her own hero, and then the new hero shows up, and you get this beautiful moment where she just breaks down, right? As a normal person would, right? Like it's not like because think about this for a minute, right? If this was like a lesser quality anime, you would have just a typical the hero's arrived, and everyone would be shocked, and she would be like the hero's arrived. But no, they portray this as a really emotional moment for her. Like it's a really big fucking thing.
It's a life-defining thing because it also on some level she's just in terms of her visual design, she's smaller than the character, she's clumsier than the other characters, so she's portrayed as kind of being, like, more naive, more childish, or kind of the younger sister of the group, in a way, right? So for this is her, and on some level, growing up, she's had the moment where she's lost her, naive...
Innocence lost.
Yeah, naive innocence lost to the world. I don't know. I could say that, but then this guy would probably say that they was trying to just do rape without rape. What she should have done is out of character punched her former mentor and declared
Hero.
the patriarchy destroyed before jumping out the window with the building exploding. That's what he wants.
Yeah.
If only all girls were Maki.
Yeah. If only all girls were Maki.
I wouldn't object though. Maki is good.
Yeah. But
Those
no,
abs don't lie.
But yeah, no, it annoys me, right? It annoys me because he's just ignoring the fucking amazing scene that's happening right before our eyes.
You can tell that this
Understand
guy's
what's
probably
going on.
used to arguing on Twitter, where you're not forced to defend your points. He's not used to writing about media per se. Because let's face it, with a YouTube video, there's different levels of effort you can put in, to still make an argument, and a lot of people choose they choose the path most traveled and just go down the easiest route possible, so that they don't have to sit there and critically examine something.
This was like what date did this come out? Because this was a trendy...
a month ago.
Because this was a trend, like when the show was airing, this was a very trendy point.
Well, when it hit Toonami in the US is when it started trending.
Right. So yeah, fuck, we're only halfway through. Like, I'm actually interested to see where he goes from here, because it's like, where do you go from here?
Well, right? There's another point which I can argue about, but it will come. So.
All right. Well, so yeah, I think this is nonsense, but let's continue. All right. It jumped again.
Alright, can you pause now? So, right. Alright, before he's going to complain about the writing, I want you to take in this scene.
Alright.
So, the sky, the background, the buildings, the infrastructure. I want you to remember this. And then now you can continue.
We will remember the lovely landscape.
By the way, I need to cut out the part of the video where he says disgusting just to have on a loop. It's dripping with pretentious contempt.
Hang on, let me go back for you and we'll be quiet, okay? Let's listen.
And every other female character in this show received. But that doesn't take anything away from the fact that the way this series treats women is fucking disgusting. But that might just be a symptom of poor...
Fucking disgusting. I see what you mean. Yeah. All right. Well, that is like a very tame response. Like he put less enthusiasm into that response than him laughing over Iris being dumb in another joke. It fucking felt so forced. Like he's forcing that disgust out. He's like, it's disgusting. Ugh.
There's a lot about this video that's forced.
Yeah, it's Fire Force.
Fire Force. I think Fire Force should be the name of Fire Force. Should be the name
Fire
of this.
Force. Yeah, Fire Force is the name of the cast.
I'll consider it.
Disgusting Fire Force.
You need to have that scene of her crying, and you need to just Photoshop absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Don't force my creative hands.
Yeah. Oh,
my creativity will not be bound.
Yes. Fucking disgust. That would be great. All right, let's keep going. We're halfway through. Let's see what his writing complaints are.
In general, so much of Fire Force's story is concerned with uncovering the truth of the world, but the series never really concerns itself with telling us what the world is normally like. I spent the first 3 episodes of this show thinking it took place in a normal present-day Earth, only there's spontaneous combustions and people with...
So, going back to that infrastructure, you'll know
the scene.
Now, just for me, for my first few minutes looking at the scene, I can tell you one thing that I could easily point out. Out in the distance, you see a red, almost unnaturally stripped landscape outside of the city, right? Implying something happened, right? Yes. Outside of that, throughout the city, you see water pumps, you see steam pipes, you see buildings are separated in a certain way. What does that imply about something? This is supposed to take place in Tokyo. This looks nothing like fucking Tokyo.
And if you can recall, the very first thing you hear is a weather report on the status of the Amaterasu reactor.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Amaterasu's the god of the sun.
I want to point out that at the beginning of every single fucking episode, you get world building.
Well, I actually did go back and check, and to his credit, they don't do the intro scene until a few episodes in. But like that's fine.
Don't they? Okay.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's still within the first core, and you learn about it when you need it, because then it starts to explain things you were already keeping in the back of your mind.
And every single episode, you get a little bit more of the story. Like, it's not the same.
Like, there's nothing wrong with the structure, or
But my main issue is that he believed until the third episode that this was normal Japan in normal Tokyo. Just some people catch fire every now and again.
Yeah, I don't think Tokyo has like train stations that
or
look like
a
this.
big red mountain range.
Death Mountain, yeah. Like, I don't know about
all
that
this
one.
like older-looking architecture.
I mean,
them
you know what?
having a reactor called the Amaterasu reactor.
Fuck it. Let's go. Let's look at the landscape again, shall we? Fuck it. Where is it?
Oh, I get to see it again. Damn it!
Look. There we go. So, what do we see here? Like, the architecture for a start doesn't look very Japanese.
It
looks a lot
Western-inspired Japanese take.
And that is more similar to what was the period before World War II? The Taisho period?
Yeah, something
looks a bit more similar to that.
Yeah, so you got a bit of that going on, right? You got the train tracks, right? You got, there's a very heavy emphasis on the colors green, red. There's a little bit of blue on some of the rooftops, right? So you've got green, red, and blue as your primaries. You have a solid gray for the walls.
I don't remember this many bilges and pumps and things to carry water all over the fucking place. That's strange.
There's a lot of pumps. There's lots of like water towers on top of some of the buildings. Have quite a bit of water going on, right? There's all kinds of stuff. You've got the Death Mountain. So you have like a. I don't know if you'd call that a lake. It wouldn't be a lake. It would be like
this
a
shot's
sea.
so good. Like, okay, getting away from the video for a second. This is a very good shot.
You could take this shot, and you could put it on like, I don't know, canvas or something. Like, you could print it out.
Yeah.
And you could hang this on the wall. It would be a nice wall piece. It would actually be a really nice landscape wall piece.
Or a good wallpaper, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really nice.
But my point is, you can't see this and then believe that this is normal Japan.
We say that, but it happened to a person.
Yeah.
You hate to see it, but it happened to a man.
You hate to see it, but it happened, yeah. It's like, from the get-go, I never assumed, like, because here's the thing, it's a fucking anime, of course it's gonna have Japanese shit in it, right? Like, come on, it's obvious, fucking what, but I never thought for a minute this is modern day, because this architecture is not fucking modern. It's like you said, this architecture is more like pre-World War II style type, kind of architecture type shit, or at least inspired by that kind of architecture. It's not fucking modern shit. So yeah, let's
be a symptom of poor writing in general. So much of Fire Force's story is.
I just thought of something, right? So,
yeah,
Ellie.
Yeah.
I just thought about this. This is a show about, where there's a heavy emphasis on fire as a visual element, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tokyo right now looks like it did before the fire bombings in World War II. More like it. I did not notice that the first time I watched it, but when I was looking at that and thinking about it...
Even more so once they go to the more, like, nationalist Japanese, like, place, right? Like, yeah, no, you're right. You're spot on. Holy shit.
It completely went over my head. Like, looking at it, just kind of, yeah. Anyways, on to whatever the hell he's saying.
Yeah. No, that's a good, yeah.
Uncovering the truth of the world, but the series never really concerns itself with telling us what the world is normally like. I spent the first 3 episodes of this show thinking it took place in
detail. In all those non-Japanese readers who will fly right over their head, but the signs on the train basically say the next train is on fire.
Heads up.
That's good. I like that. That's good. Also, take note. Firstly, this is an older style kind of looking tram as well.
Yeah, so it's very pre-World War too.
It's an older looking tram. Like, you've got the pipes, lots of pipes, lots of infrastructure.
Yeah, it's not like the
it's
bullet
almost,
trains or monorails they're known for.
Hell, it's almost kind of steampunky in a sense, like with all the copper. Like the copper style to a lot of stuff is very.
I mean, there's a lot of fire, so of course there's going to be steam all over the place.
Yeah, it's got that kind of like copper feel to it. So yeah, let's keep
It's in a
going.
normal
I could sell
present
video
day
games, yeah.
Earth, only there's spontaneous combustions and people with fire powers. And then when we do find out that actually the series takes place in a post-apocalyptic setting, the information is just dumped on us out of nowhere. Like the writer just realized they forgot.
No clues whatsoever.
At the beginning of an episode, and I think they actually played this at the beginning of quite a few episodes, where it's just like, alright, you need a refresher. Mind you, this isn't new. Gundam would do this every episode. Okay, here's the establishment of this, Years 0079, there's this war going on, assload of people died, everything's awful. Same thing in this case. Yeah, same thing in this case. This opening intro scene, very reminiscent of, what would be very classic type of storytelling in anime. This guy probably doesn't watch anime normally, so of course he would fucking know. So, very classic style of introducing a setting at the beginning of an episode, so if you need a refresher, because sometimes you do need to repeat information, especially in this series, which is a longer one. Next season's probably get
even just for the TV watchers who maybe will start watching the show on the third episode.
Yeah. And this information is presented after you're given this visual information about what the Fire Force does, what they're combating. This adds on to earlier information. So I don't know where the hell he's even pulling this from. Does he not like long exposition?
You establish, they establish enough about to get in the first 3 episodes, because that's what he's talking about. They're essentially just establishing, right? Okay, here's what's going on. This is the basic idea of what's going on. And
this isn't Japan, so we're going to tell you now what it is in detail.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah. So
to establish the setting 3 episodes ago. The power system has the same problem. For the majority of the season, all we know about pyrokinesis is that each new generation of user is more powerful than the last, and how your power.
First generation just become monster. Second generation manipulates fire. Third generation creates fire. That's how it goes.
Right.
And of course, what you see in the second episode is that Maki just extinguishes Shinra's flames and he falls to the ground.
Yeah, it's not a power scale, and it's not like power creep, where it's like each generation becomes exponentially power. It's each generation does something different, right? And their powers manifest in a different way. And that's not even talking about the people that are getting powers via the fucking insects and the artificial shit. That's not even, generational, right? That's completely, not even taking that into account. Right?
Well, I mean, of course, there's the super special power that only the main protagonist has, and the main villains
the burst, right? That's because you need to have the main character needs to be special, right? The main character needs to have something that differentiates them from the rest of the cast, right? That's typical shonen bullshit, right? I'm not worried about that, but
that's traditional heroic storytelling.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the same shit, right? I'm not worried about that, but I do think that he's completely misunderstood, perhaps because he's not actually paying that much attention, right? He doesn't understand.
Well, Maki isn't in this scene.
Yeah, Maki. Why would he pay attention? Because Maki's abs are not in his face. So,
God, what I would do then, just be able to motorboat those abs. Too much information here, but absolutely.
Fucking God.
Understandable.
I'm not mad. But anyway, let's keep going.
Manifests is unique to you.
We all kneel
That's
before
it.
the altar.
We don't find out that overheating is a problem, or that their powers are fueled by the oxygen in their bodies until episode 9.
Okay, but here's the thing. Is that information pertinent right now? Like, is the information that yes,
It's in the first 12 episodes of the show. Not even Full Metal Alchemist explains that much that early.
Yeah, like, do you need to know?
He was just bitching about info dumps.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's bitching about exposition, and now he's asking for more exposition. It's like, no, I don't think it's like until it actually becomes relevant within the story, which it did, right? Like, it becomes relevant within the story, and it's like, oh yeah, don't push yourself too hard, or you're gonna fuck yourself, right? Like, that's what it's talking about, right? You don't need to, like, get straight into the meta dynamics of how these systems work right away. You can slowly drip feed it over time to the audience so they can kind of understand, oh, yeah, okay, so that's how that works, right.
Well,
right,
now let me explain this thing that we all know, and that you know, and that I know, and
yeah, let's, hey, Ellie, step into the exposition elevator. step into
get in the elevator. Get into the car, nerd. We're gonna do some exposition.
Yeah, we got
it. You know that I know that you know that I wear glasses. Do you know that glasses work by bending light to compensate for
to compensate for
the lens that also bends light in the eye, but in the wrong direction, what makes the vision
I just thought the
fuzzy.
glass blower inserted magic into it. What are you talking about?
No,
the glass blower is enchanting the glasses with his.
I will polish some glass right now, so you can see the difference between.
But all glass blowers I know smoke weed, so that clearly imbues them. The magic herb imbues them with power, which they then blow into it.
Lolly, let's polish some lenses together so we can see the difference. Here's one for you. You'll make a concave one. This is how you do it.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Getting back to this, what I did want to say is there's nothing wrong with introducing this when it comes up, so as long as it doesn't invalidate anything that was said before, which it didn't.
Yeah. You need to be you need to have some level of like consistency and like.
Or building up on the knowledge that we already have.
Yeah, shit needs to make sense and not contradict other shit that you've established, right?
It's not like this happened during the last episode.
Yeah, it's not like we're in the last episode and then all of a sudden it's just like, hey, did you know that if you burn too much oxygen, you fuck yourself? You know, like
Did you know that you need oxygen to sustain a fire?
Yeah. Did you know that's how fire works? It burns, oxygen. Alright, but anyway, let's keep going.
And then we don't learn the consequences of fighting when overheated until episode 12. And in both cases, the information is treated like something we were expecting.
Whoa! Hang on a minute. Because he says we don't find out about the consequences. What about the guy in the Japanese clothes, whose whole character is that he overheated himself and he's fucked? What are you talking about? What?
And what he says, this is information that we already, which we are expected to know. That's not true. This is knowledge that is expected to know for the characters in the world, because it is.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, everyone in the world kind of knows this, which means that the way that the viewer is going to find out about it is by it actually happening.
He really did only watch this once.
Yeah, like, I don't even know if he, like, actually, like, it feels to me like he watched, like, the first 3 episodes, dropped it, then he, like, watched some clips or, like, a highlight reel or some shit. Yeah, or read the wiki, and then he, like, maybe watched, like, the last 2 or 3 episodes to get the ending or something. Like, he watched, like, the last 3 episodes, and that's it. Or, alternatively, he watched every single episode that has footage of Maki in it, right? Like, he just found, like, he went on YouTube and just typed in, like, Fire Force Maki highlight clips or some shit, and just watched all of those, and that's what
we need to buy a figure for this guy.
Though. But I want to bring up in the realm of exposition only when characters themselves want to know. Eureka 7. That world is not explained at all because the characters know that world. Why
Yeah,
can you
right.
fly on Trapper? What is Trapper? How can you even surf on it? How does this shit work? Where does it come from? And you only really know it only near the end of the series, when some characters begin to speculate on some of the things they are not quite as sure on, and they come to revelations, and those revelations are being shared at that moment with you, the viewer. But until the
almost like-
time,
Yeah.
you have no idea. It's just how gravity works.
It's almost like that's how exposition is supposed to work.
Not all. Sometimes it's good to have a big info dump.
Sometimes it's good, but it's like, you know, it depends. You have to consider like what information is relevant, and I don't. Again, he's completely missing the fact that we had a character. I don't remember his name, but it was one of the Yakuza guys, right? The guy that, you know, when they were in the bloody Japanese nationalist place, right? And his whole story, his whole fucking backstory is that he's bros with the head guy. He saved the head guy's life, but in doing so, he fucked himself up, and he's slowly turning to ash because he fucked himself up and overheated, right? Like, that's his whole... And that's explained to the viewer and to everyone that this guy fucked himself, and it's used as an example of why you don't fuck yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so
did he just completely forget that happened?
So, on top of that, he's complaining about how it isn't relevant until the end of the first core, you know, the episode 12. You know, it's brought up in episode 9. It's brought up in episode 12. It's brought up again, and it becomes a thread in episode 12. When you bring that information like that up, you know, in episode 9, and throughout, you know, the next few episodes, you know, given Shinra's personality of being honestly really reckless, you know, and driven, that is in the back of your mind. You have that information, so, you know, that creates a sense of suspense. Is he going is he going to go too far? Is he going to deprive himself of, you know, his bodily oxygen and, you know, fuck himself over, you know?
Yeah. Actually, now that I'm remembering, maybe he is talking about that, because what was episode 12? Because I have to remember, because if it was what I... Let me go and have a bit of a look-see at Fire Force. Yeah, and another thing to consider is that Fire Force got, like, the first fucking season... How many episodes was the first season? Because it got, like, fucking... It got greenlit for like 50 episodes right out the gate. So they already had like way more than most typically tend to get. Right?
Yeah, that was a thing.
It had 24 from the get go. Like they had 24 two calls from the get go, right? Okay, so episode 12 was in okay. Fuck what I just said, because yeah, episode 12 was when they were doing the shit with the other guy. I think it was Eve of Hostilities and whatchamacallit. I'd have to find a synopsis of that episode, but yeah, I think that was so fuck what I just said. Rant depleted.
Got him.
He got me. He got me, guys. He fucking got me. Let me it would be on like fucking anime list, wouldn't it, or something?
Oh, probably.
I'll go have a look. Because I want to confirm this before I like say any more shit that's gonna fucking make me completely wrong, right?
Yeah, it's so fun to talk about.
Well, let's just go continue the video.
Yeah, I will. Hang on, let me go back to it. So let's keep going. Let's see what else.
Already know. I don't want to be spoon-fed all of the important information, and I'm not even opposed to holding back key information until later. But
Apparently
there needs to
you
be a
are!
point to withholding
Apparently!
that information, and it has to be deployed at the right moment to achieve maximum effect. And Fire
And
Force
it was.
didn't do any of that. It asked me to get invested in a shonen battle series, and then never told me anything about how the powers work. It asked me to
What do you mean it told you how the powers were? It tells you how the powers were.
They tell you that with the generational thing, and then they reveal more that you know later on. You know what that says? this person probably watched a YouTube video on how to write magic systems and, like, just absorbed that, but didn't understand that that's, that's advice. That's not supposed to be what every single, shonen battle series is supposed to do in explaining its powers.
Alright, I'm
It's like I hear this, and I made the Full Metal Alchemist thing earlier. Full Metal Alchemist, again, that's considered, that show as a, its magic system is considered, very well thought out. They explain it throughout the series, and you're invested in it even as they're explaining things. Much later on.
Okay, yeah. Episode 12 was when they go into that guy's past. So yeah, he is correct in when because I was like, what the fuck? Because he didn't bring it up that was what he was talking about, because the visuals of his video don't match what he's talking about. I would have expected him to actually show part of that backstory. It's like, so that's kind of a confusion born by my fucking stupidity as well as his. So I will not take full credit for that mistake. But
No,
but
very nice. Yeah, but I don't. Unless, why bring up the fact that your body turns to ash until you have a character whose body is turning to ash?
Yeah, it's like, again, you wouldn't like just randomly fucking like explain that like off the get go. It's like, because here's the thing, I actually really like that kind of shit. I like the meta mechanics of fucking magic systems and all this other kind of bullshit. I'm very into that kind of like shit. But it's like, if this is not reading a textbook. This is watching a fucking anime, right?
No, clearly it is like reading a textbook, because he got all this exposition that, the show never provided in one episode dumped on him. Also, please give him more exposition.
But I don't like exposition and being spoon-fed, though.
Fuck exposition, but give me more.
Yeah, he's like a tsundere for exposition. It's really weird.
It's like when I eat McDonald's. I'm sitting there, I'm like, I fucking hate McDonald's, and then I'm halfway through the fucking double cheeseburger, and I'm like, I want more.
No, it's like, it's shit. But you want more. But no, yeah. So I just want
like
to clear
this
that
video.
up.
Well, that's no.
like
this
McDonald's,
too,
please send me like a $5 coupon.
Sponsored
yeah,
by
no.
McDonald's.
But yeah, no, I think I'd clear that up. That episode 12 is the right episode for that exposition. But yeah, whatever. Let's continue.
Care about learning the truth about the world
Hey,
when
it's
I
way
never
back.
even got to learn what the lie was. All I know about this.
Well, wait a minute. The lie is the whole point. Figuring out what the lie is the whole point. Because clearly there's something going on. Like, that's the driving. What?
Wow. I mean, you're saying that they didn't just immediately drop the major plot twist like immediately in a 50 episode series? Holy shit.
Holy shit. What the fuck?
I would argue
I'm
that's
actually-
the is it evangelist? The Eve.
I want to say.
the
I want to. Okay, hang on. I know how to pronounce it. It's evangel. Because my brain keeps
Evangelion?
wanting to. Yeah, no, my brain keeps wanting to autocorrect it to evangelical, but it's like
Evangelical?
evangelicist. Evangelical.
What the hell are we talking about? Are we talking about the robot anime or the church?
We're talking about the church. It's like the evangelicals or whatever the fuck, right? We know what you're talking about. Yeah, they don't introduce them like properly until the episode that he hates the most with fucking Tamaki and the shit, right? So
episode 10, 11, 9, around that point.
yeah, I don't know what actual episode it was, but it was like first third, I guess. It would have been probably in the first third. Yeah, no, it's like you're not gonna fucking drop the big oh shit thing right away. Like, you got to lead up to that. You have to establish like the setting and the world and the characters, and that's what like the first kind of third of the show was like, okay, here's the characters, here's their defining characteristics, here's the world, here's the setting. Let's do a couple of like, have them go out and fight a couple of things. Get your feet wet, right? You got to.
It's
You
shown
gotta
in
ease
battle.
people into it, and then you start adding to that, and you go, oh, okay, well, here's this other faction that's shown up, and they're doing shit. But then there's also the other faction, which is the guy with the eye patch and the cards and the ash that explodes, right? So there's multiple factions doing things, and then the fucking fire agency itself, right, has conspiracy going on, and there's shit going on behind the scenes that isn't being talked about, and other shit, right? So there's, you plant the seeds to these things, right?
Yeah,
and you let them grow, and you water them every now and then they turn into lovely little plants, right? It's how that works.
Throw some little wood on the embers.
It's storytelling.
Yeah.
It's storytelling foreplay, and if he doesn't know good foreplay, he's never going to be able to please Maki.
Oh, I love
This
it.
man is not a gentle lover. He wants it all up front, and
Well,
Yeah.
Maki
Maki's a
can give it
romantic.
to him, or Maki can
Yeah,
give it to him.
Maki's a romantic. She wants to be treated like a lady. He needs to learn to treat her like a lady.
Yeah,
Well,
he's got a-
or she can just use her pile drivers on him.
he's into some of that CBT maybe.
My bedroom is like a WWE ring.
All right,
And she came in with a chair. Oh my god.
All right, let's keep going.
What the fire department is like, and that's a big problem. The perfect example of what I'm talking about is
here we
Shinra's big showdown with his brother. Nobody knows what Sho's power is, and Shinra is pushing himself so hard that he's doing things nobody's ever seen before. And the way they explain all of this to the audience is to have a scientist sit there watching the fight and just sort of guess at what's going on. What's so bad about that? Well, all he ever sees is these two people randomly blinking in and out of existence. And he somehow reaches the conclusion that this guy is stealing heat from the world around him, thus slowing the expansion of the universe and stopping time.
This is
And that
somewhat disingenuous.
I mean, first off, he's a scientist.
He's
You very clearly see him in that pan shot where he's looking over. He's observing the scene. How is this
He's
person
trying to-
doing this?
Yeah, he's trying to figure it out, right? Like, and also, I think it was established pretty early on that time stop was Zawaldo was this guy's power. Like, it's kind of before this fight even happened. There was like you could kind of guess that. Okay, so he's doing something that's making him go fast or stopping time or something, right?
one or the
I think
other.
if you're a smart viewer, right? If you have half a brain, you
And
can
you have
immediately
watched JoJo.
recognize. If you've watched JoJo, you can immediately recognize what kind of power it is, even if you don't understand why the mechanisms. And then this is where they're explaining the mechanisms, because you have a character that would understand the mechanisms because he's a fucking scientist. And he's going, okay, what's going on? Let's, all right,
and he's of course
okay.
he's specialized in these fire powers, etc.
Yeah, his whole deal is that he's a scientist that specializes in this shit.
Second flex here.
Yeah.
Second big brain flex here. But Sho's power is to slow down time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, ever since the tragedy that swept through their family, you could say that for Sho and for Shinra, time kind of stopped in a sense, because their entire life got derailed by this major event.
Well, for show at least.
Oh.
In this
I would
case,
say even
because
in some case for Shinra, because that drove a lot of his motivation forward. What I'm saying is that I just made a big brain observation, and I'm flexing on this guy
Yeah,
right
I
now.
mean, I agree that Show's ability is to hold the time and not change and etc. etc. And Shinra is ever pressing forward faster and faster.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Big
it's interesting.
brains.
But his main complaint here is, it's like, the exposition. Again, he's complaining about exposition when not a moment ago he was complaining that he wasn't getting exposition. So what do you want? Like, make your mind up. Do you want to be told the meta mechanics, or do you not want to be told the meta mechanics?
I agree in that how these powers manifest and the explanation behind this is kind of dumb. It's dumb how these powers.
It's kind of dumb.
It's dumb how these powers end up stopping time.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb, but then again, it's an anime, so my suspension of disbelief, right, is not shattered by the fact that the anime, which is again
is
shown in anime,
forcing so hard to find an explanation as to how you can stop time.
Yeah, it's
fire forcing.
It's dumb.
Yeah, it's very fire forcing.
Yeah, it's fire forcing. So no, I agree with that. I agree that it's pretty fucking dumb that he's expanding the heat and the fucking universe. He's sucking. Honestly, I don't even think that the explanation is necessary. It's fucking obvious he's stopping time.
Well, I mean, outside of that, I don't even really have that much of an issue of. The issue of how it's introduced, that goes back a bit to the pacing problems we were talking about, where a lot of things just kind of are really snappy in how they're introduced and how they're explained. Yeah, sure. But having a scientist there, who you establish is smart and very observational, looking around and, observing this abnormally fast character, wondering, hey, how does this happen? The scientist studies how fire powers work. Makes sense to him being there to understand it and explain it to the audience. That actually makes sense. It's exaggerated. Yeah. It's a little over the top. But the main character is also shooting fire out of his feet to propel himself forward and punch people in the face. I think a little bit of an overtop, portrayal of genius or intellect is not terribly immersion shattering or
also what are the alternatives? You have him explaining his powers to the person he's fighting, which would be dumb. You have
also hey, that's not a still shot where people are talking and explaining things. I thought that was a common thing in this show.
No. Yeah, but also what are the alternatives, right? So you have the brother explaining to him what the powers are himself, which would be dumb, right? Because why would the villain explain his powers to the hero, right? That doesn't make sense. Well, antagonist, I shouldn't say villain. Antagonist in this case, right? At the moment, right? And then you would also have Hot Feet over here, fucking figuring it out on his own, which is possible. It's possible, but he's not the type of character that we've established to be smart in that kind of way. He would probably figure out, okay, he's maybe stopping time, but he wouldn't understand the metaphysics of it, obviously. So, maybe. I feel like the way that they handled it, even though you're correct in that it's a little bit silly and it's a little bit dumb, it's fine. Alright.
For the purposes of exposition and explaining to the audience, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah. It's fine. But anyway, fucking hell, oh man, it feels like this video is longer than 10 minutes. Jesus Christ!
This is how you know this is the good shit when it's
this
so
is
dense.
the good. It's so dense. Yeah, there's so much to unpack. You have to unpack so much.
Oh my god, we're already at an hour 30. Jesus.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Fucking hell, we're getting really in there. So
that Spirit Science
this
video
guy
is
moving faster than the speed of light,
long.
which destroys his body, but
Spoilers,
going so
by the
fast
way.
also sends his molecules back in time to before his body was destroyed. All of which are the most batshit insane things to ever possibly even think in this situation.
Yeah.
That face that he's have here, Victor's face, is not the face of some guy who just, that makes perfectly sense, is completely logical, makes perfect sense. That's the face of a guy who comes to bad shit realizations, but has to take into account it's the only explanation.
Yeah, I recall that even he is freaking the fuck out over what's happening because he's like, wait, what? If I remember, because it was a while ago when I watched this, right? He himself, once he comes to the realization of what Hot Feet is doing, he's like, dude, what the fuck? How? What? But yeah, it's dumb, But it's a fucking like dumb shit happens in anime all the fucking time,
Well,
and we deal with it. It's not.
I'm not going to excuse it for being
Oh no,
dumb
I'm not.
in this
I'm not.
way.
I'm not. Yeah.
But for the in the context of the complaint, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
If you want to complain that the way the power works is dumb, fine, I agree. If you want to complain how it's being delivered to the audience through the scientist guy, the scientist guy explaining it is perfectly valid. Better than the villain or the hero explaining it.
Yeah, which was my point earlier. And it's like dumb shit. And if he's complaining about the dumb shit, right? My point is more along the lines of dumb shit happens in anime all the time, and sometimes you don't even get an explanation, right?
Yeah,
like dumb.
but in the case of
crazy
this, though,
shit.
like
Yeah,
using the idea of entropy in the show with a heavy, emphasis on fire and heat and, burning yourself out, or, that's not a terribly big logical leap for, like, the most drastic conclusion of controlling heat would be entropy. That sounds absurd to us, for somebody to control that in our reality, but this isn't our reality, even though we
you have to
apparently
look
thought
at
that
it
for 3 episodes.
Yeah, it's like Ellie said. You have to look at it like in the context
Yeah.
of the world and what's happening, right? Like that's why I'm saying it's dumb, but in the context of the world itself, it's not that fucking dumb. To us, it's dumb. To the characters, it's probably like, what the fuck? But it's not like it's, again, it feels like he's making a mountain out of a molehill. It's not that big of a deal.
I mean, this is what you see in, like, soft science fiction all the time, where they introduce a fictional technology that, while
Fictional
not
element.
completely divorced, or fictional element or fictional whatever metal or whatever, while not related to our reality, is based off of something in our reality, and then it explores how that might change things, how people might interact with the world.
Yeah.
Like, this is something you see in soft science fiction all the time. That giant robot's a dumb war machine in real life, but in context of the show, it makes perfect sense.
Exactly. So, let's keep going.
Situation, but not only does he think of it, he's right. He's right, and he came to this with no prior knowledge of how either of their powers
smart,
work.
This is God, I have to keep pausing because it's like...
Nah, you can keep
he
going.
Studies this shit.
Yeah, it's his job. It's what he does.
You can just as easily say in this instance that, because, no prior knowledge, all prior knowledge is built, or all knowledge is built off of prior knowledge. And when he's observing this, he's trying to explain this through the lens of his own previous, duty as doing research.
Yeah, it's kind of.
It doesn't come from nowhere.
Yeah, it's kind of fucking wild that he doesn't understand how scientific theory works, right? Like you have to like. Oh my god, it's hurting my brain. All right, let's keep going.
Infuriating. This is a writer utterly failing to build their world in any meaningful way. Because why carefully craft something when you can just take a bucket full of ideas and dump it out every now and then? And when you pace your world building so
I'm going to call him out on it. Of course, it seems that way if the only subtext you're reading is the subtitle text.
He's not able to read Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. No, he doesn't read through the line. He's not reading in between the lines. He's not thinking about how certain things might interact with each other. He's just seeing things as it's being fed to him.
It's surface level. It's purely surface level. Like
those red mountains in the distance don't mean a thing. All those tubes, whatever.
Honestly, it's surface level, but it's even worse than like Mother's Basement levels of surface level, right? Because when Mother's Basement does surface level shit, it's fucking basic bitch, normie, whatever. This guy's actively ignoring subtext and context, right? He's actively choosing to ignore it, right? Rather than like with Mother's Basement, I can chalk it up to it's Mother's Basement. He's just like
He's
just
boring or repeats himself.
He's whatever. Yeah, he's boring.
That's
Whatever.
his
He
brand.
doesn't care. He doesn't care, right? Whatever. Or he didn't pick up on it or whatever. With this guy, it feels like he's just deliberately ignoring this. Like it doesn't feel like it's just he's dumb.
I mean,
right?
you can hear the contempt in his voice when he's talking about this. He clearly does not want to give this show the time of day or more thought, assuming that he is actually well versed enough and observing media that he could actually pick up on something like this.
Yeah.
I wish sometimes I wish I could just like force people to do what I want, because I would want to see this man like watch Eraserhead or something and just observe his reaction. What the hell would he think about something that purely symbolical if he can't pick up on... Honestly, I joke about me being big-brained or whatever, but all of this is very basic symbology that you can pay attention to if you're actually watching.
Yeah, like it's not like this is like it's not blatant in your face, but it's like if you're actually paying attention to what you are consuming, then you will pick up on these things, even if perhaps you're only picking up on it subconsciously, and until you actually like think back on it and like or rewatch it or whatever.
Well, of course, I two big brain is also a thing. I had a very big brain moment based on the first episode regarding Iris, and it turned out to be wrong.
Yeah, and it's big brain time on the pause on point.
But that at least we tried to speculate something.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's keep going.
Poorly, it gets in the way of building your characters. I remember watching episode 1 and thinking that it'd be fun to get to know these people as they go about their daily adventures. But we get exactly one episode of that before new characters start to get dumped on us, and the overarching storyline of the season starts to take over. I couldn't tell you much of anything about the captain, and I never even learned the name of the guy with the glasses.
And then
that means all about him.
So Naretsu, for me, you've paused on the scene where you learn about the lieutenant and the captain's backstory.
I was gonna say there's a whole episode about it.
with the military and stuff, and
yeah, oh my god, it hurts. It fucking hurts, dude. How could he have been editing this and not pick up on that? Like,
because he wanted to get angry and he wanted to see if he could get something that would get a lot of hate clicks, I guess.
Probably, yeah. It's like fuck, man. Come on, dude.
This almost screams of trying to capitalize on something, but like he can't really capitalize because, I mean, while he does have roughly 700 more subscribers than us. But,
it's called punching up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always punch up. That's the benefit of having, only 100 or so subscribers.
Subs.
We are constantly punching up. We will never punch down on people. Well, I would, but I like to bully.
But yeah, no, this is just fucking infuriating. It's like, come on, dude. Like, at least be a little bit charitable. But anyway, let's keep going.
Both
But he
of them
was
got
charitable.
One good
What
fight
about
scene,
the one
but
character he winks over?
Oh my god. Yeah.
And let's not forget, in season 2, we got a nice little juicy detail about the Captain Obi again.
Also, can I just point out how funny it is that he's simping over fucking Maki, and yet he hates the treatment of female characters, and yet here's fucking Simp Master 5000 just fucking spending like a solid fucking almost like 1 to 2 minutes of his video gushing over this female. Like, she's not gonna fuck you, bro.
Actually, that kind of like when I was watching this initially, the one thing that popped in my mind was that meme. I hope she sees this, bro.
I hope she sees this, bro. Yeah, it's like, Oh my god. All right.
We got
Iris,
to
the
develop either
whole
of them.
I believe the whole 4th episode, and maybe 5th, is completely devoted to Iris.
Yeah, it's. Oh god. Anyway.
As characters was a single flashback to the day they met, which is a good start,
And
but it's still
this
just
scene-
a start.
It's a flashback to we went through his whole thing in the army. What? What? What the fuck?
Look, he wants at least 5 filler episodes in this 50-episode series.
Yeah, we gotta have. Yeah, he's used to watching.
Did Ellie die for a
Naruto's-
moment?
No, I'm here.
No, he's here.
Okay, good. Because you just went quiet all of a sudden.
But it's like he's used to watching the Naruto's and the fillers and getting to know the cats. Fucking hell.
There's
you
no
know,
way he's
Isaiah
watched
at
an
this point.
anime older than 2010.
Probably not. No.
He's bitching about Maki's gag or Tamaki's gag. Imagine like any other type of show before the 2010s with some of the gags they got away with. It's not like it was a panty flash.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, let's keep going.
Vulcan is a character with an excellent introductory arc, who then immediately disappears into the crowd as soon as he joins the team. I have a big problem.
Yeah, because you can't focus on every single character every single minute of the you're gonna have times where some characters are going to kind of do nothing for a little bit, right? And then he'll come back, right? Because
The supporting
fucking-
characters.
yeah, exactly. Like you've got let's be real here. We've got a really good cast here, right? There's really nice selection of characters going on here, including his waifu. So it's kind of you can't expect them to have front because you have main characters, right? The story isn't about the side characters; it's about the main characters. The side characters are going to show up and they're going to do some thing, and you'll learn some more about them, and then they'll serve their purpose, and then we'll kind of fade back again, right?
They'll disappear for another 3 episodes, and then they'll have a cameo, and then they'll disappear for another 2.
Yeah.
Plus, anime is like anime and manga properties are like franchise media central. Maybe they'll get their own spinoff.
Hey, you never know. I mean, hell, that's actually funny that you should say that because My Hero Academia, they actually produced an entire fucking episode for Floppy. Straight up. An anime original episode was created for, I can't remember what season it was. I think it was either season 1 or season 2. I can't remember. But they actually, just straight up, just made the last episode, just dedicated to a side story about Floppy because they wanted to do it, I guess. You never know, right? But, let's keep going.
With him joining up, sharing 2 short scenes with the captain, and then being given a moment during a climactic fight scene that depends on the strong bond of loyalty he and the captain share, when he only just joined the team, and I've never seen them say more than 10 words to each other. I cannot believe this show is getting a 2nd season. Fire Force feels like a teenager taking their first pass at making their own shonen series. They aren't that good at writing, and they
I
think
want
the
to believe that I desperately want him to be aware of Soul Eater.
I was just about to say. I wonder
But-
what he. I wonder.
Again,
what
that's
he
why I
thinks about
said. That's
Soul
what
Eater.
I. That's what I said. That's why I said. I don't think he's watched an anime from before 2010.
I should rewatch Soul Eater sometime. It's been a long time. It's been a really long time.
But
Man,
but,
actually, holy shit! Soul Eater also had the same kind of fan service in it.
yeah.
Now that I think,
Blair the
about
witch was constantly nude in Maka's apartment.
This is,
all the characters inside the weapons were nude.
there's all kinds of
basically
shit
all the
going on in
time.
Soul Eater. Yeah, man, that's fucking what.
Well,
it's
that's
interesting.
basically it, isn't it? Just nude.
Well,
nude
there
in
was
the
there was
weapons
the
and Blair.
pervertness. There was the pervertness of the one guy, the blue
Oh,
guy.
the father, but that was over hostesses, not really anything
No,
else.
not the father. The guy. Oh fuck, what's his? Oh god, the
Black
blue
Star?
haired guy.
Black
Yeah,
Star?
yeah. He had some moments like when they
Oh.
like climbed the mountain to go to the fucking bathhouse or some shit.
Oh,
Remember that episode?
That's
that
the
whole
most-
that one whole massive section of that thing where they're climbing this fucking mountain, and it turns out it's just so they can poop on the.
oh, sorry. I read the manga.
Yeah, I think that might have been an anime thing. Maybe I don't know. It was a different time back then.
There are much better times. There were so many less like sensitive bitches in the scene.
Oh, that's great.
But
but
his
anyway.
his accusation that this series is written by somebody who never grew up or etc. Is just reeks of somebody who's either doesn't have never heard of Soul Eater, or two deliberately ignoring it to make a inciting and inflaming take.
Or he's doing
Inflaming,
the
huh?
typical,
Yeah.
or he's doing the typical anime centric lens bullshit where it's like, oh, let's just ignore the source material even exists and act like this is like
Well,
an
the
original thing.
ignore the. I mean, offers that blah blah blah. Haha. Yes, no, but you can't say that when the offer is an established figure.
Yeah, it's like clearly like you have to consider the past works and shit. It's like, yeah, but
Wonder if
it's
he's
nonsense.
trying to ignite some outrage so he gets
Oh,
more
yeah.
subs.
He's trying to ignite.
Put
Come
some
on, guys,
fuel
he needs
on
to
the
get that
fire.
ad revenue from YouTube so he can buy more Maki merch.
Yeah.
I
Anyway.
mean, he has 1,000 subs, right? Or no? No, it's 400.
No, he had
never mind.
800 or something. Like I don't know.
It's
It's more than
well, if-
us.
if he has
Man,
1,000, he can get monetization.
Man, AnyTube must be dry as
Or was it
fuck.
10,000?
If this shit is getting fucking traction. Like, goddamn. Oh man.
Well, how many views is this at?
Of mature
I don't know. I have to check. I have to open it up and have a look. But anyway, let's keep going.
is to load up their script with taboo things like naked women, while lacking the
Script.
experience and perspective needed to build an interesting world or tell a good story. I expect better than this from shonen anime, but it is what it is. At least it gave us
Okay,
Maki.
one more pause.
I know there's a Fire Force manga. There's no way in hell I'm ever going to read it, so
why is
please
he so...
let me know if the source material did it better, or if it's just as big of a
Alright,
mess
can
as
you
the
pause
adaptation.
because...
Or if
Oh!
you like
Because
Oh!
why is he flip-flopping between saying writer, scenario...
That's
There's a
fucking
manga.
wild. No, like those are some bombshells. He's like obviously the Maki simping, right? But holy shit, yeah, I know there's a manga. I don't give a shit. you know,
Also,
like
I can't
holy
help.
fuck.
I can't help but like not really fucking like burst out laughing when he says the phrase, "Oh, I expect better from shonen anime."
Yeah,
Bitch,
yeah.
have you
It's
seen?
like, what
do you
the
know what the big three were fucking infamous for?
holy shit, dude.
What do you think he would think of Bleach? Like, I know he's never
Is this
heard of
dude
it.
like? Is this dude like fucking like 18 or some shit? Like, it feels to me
He
like
sounds
he's like
18.
Like what? Like he's got to be a teenager because holy shit! Like what the fuck are you on about, mate?
I mean, I'm not
That
above
bombshell.
bullying children. I'm not above bullying
Well,
small
yeah,
children. So
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
don't think I'm better than that. I'm totally down with dunking on this nerd, but he you can definitely tell in the way he approaches this his inability to notice things outside of what's directly explained to him within text, and even being unable to like understand how narrative or show structure might be portrayed, and then just like flat out ignoring things that misses his point. That type of like insistence on knowing everything despite being the most ignorant motherfucker on earth, that is a very teenage thing.
It's weird because
Fucking
it's almost
Zoomers.
like the way that he like ended this with the whole, oh yeah, I know there's a manga, but I don't care. I'm not gonna fucking touch it. But it's vindictive in a way. It's like
the script just he was started with the writers, plural. Then he said writer, singular, and then he says something about the scenario and the so and so thinkers, something plural again.
He can't make
and
his
then
mind up.
and then he ends up. I know there is a manga singular author. So what's that all about? The previous time he complained about the process of the series.
It's very. Again, it's like he thinks that manga and anime is like a separate entity. So it's like they're completely different, completely separate. There's no, they don't influence each other. There's no like oversight from the mangaka or anything. You know, there's none of that. It doesn't happen.
Well, he can't engage with manga, so that would require him to read.
Yeah, and
we've already established that people don't read shit.
And when you're reading a manga, you can't use the excuse of, oh well, you know, I just didn't pick up on it, because the mangas are usually pretty fucking, you know.
Look, this is why I do not understand why people constantly want their favorite thing to get an anime adaptation, because you see this shit time and time again. The moment anything that's originally a light novel, you know, something like Shield Hero, or anything that was originally a manga, like JoJo, the moment it gets an anime adaptation, all discussion just goes down the tubes. Reading is the great barrier, the great gatekeeper we've all wanted, but never recognized. People don't read.
Wild, yeah. Yeah, they just don't read.
So let's this be our message to the masses. Read the manga, read the light novels, read.
Just
some
pay
books,
attention to what you're watching. Jesus Christ,
and
man.
pay attention to the red mountain, the ominous red mountains in the distance.
Like, don't just go through the motions when you're watching something. Don't just go through the motions and are like, oh, yep, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna go immediately to the next episode. Sit there for a second and like think about what the show might be trying to tell you. You know, how things might, you know, activate that prefrontal cortex for just a little bit.
Nah, mate. You just gotta switch your brain off and just consume.
Look, I know that this generation is fucked because their formative media is Marvel movies. But we can reverse course on this. We can break them out of the consumer mindset.
We can break.
Or I might just ramble.
Alright. Well, I think we've pretty much had final thoughts, I guess.
Yeah.
This was a very
Fire Force is pretty good, has issues, but I like it nonetheless.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? Well, I know we're kind of dragging this on, but that's the thing, right? Fire Force I wouldn't even consider to be that amazing. Like, it's not like it's a fucking groundbreaking, like, super interesting, like, massive fucking deal, right? It's a pretty
it's a fun
typical
show.
shonen.
It has
it's a fun shonen that's got some really nice, like, sort of intrigue in it. You know, it's got some good characters. It's, you know, it's fine. It's fine, right? It doesn't deserve all of the shit that it gets from people like this, especially when it comes to, like, it treats women poorly. It's like, no, fuck off.
Oh, I'll show.
I'm more.
Well, I mean, going by how much this guy White Knights, there's probably a chance in the future he's going to treat women poorly himself. So, you know.
Oh God, yeah. But it's like,
just in my opinion, that's not an accusation. That's just my opinion.
Here's the thing, right? Like, outside of Fire Force, right? We're talking about like let's expand a little bit, right?
Well,
the
so
issue. I know. You want to wrap up, blah blah blah. But let me finish, right? Like, the issue that I have with this is that you God, I've lost it now because you interrupted me, Ali. You fuckwit. But no, the problem.
My mission is successful.
Your mission of derailing my fucking rambles is successful. But
yeah,
I'm trying to think, because it's like my problem with the whole like the criticisms I just feel are just not interesting or valid, right? Like, oh no, this show treats women badly. I'm gonna take shit out of context and shit, because this is happening to like other shows, like, there's a recent case that's happening right now, which I don't want to date the video, but there's the same kind of thing is happening, where people are like, okay, we're going to take something out of context, or we're going to take something at face value, and we're going to make judgments on it without actually considering anything else at all. And I'm getting really tired of it. It's really fucking annoying. And having videos like this that kind of do the same thing and push the same idea,
it kind of normalizes it in a way that people, you know, especially younger people, are going to look to things like this. They're going to look at these basic bitch assumptions. They're going to look at how people just observe things on the most surface level, and they're going to think, oh, this is how we're supposed to approach media. There's nothing deeper behind this. I'm going to get into I would get into a fool's level of, like, rambling about, you know, the younger generation if I go any further, but
we're gonna start boomer posting.
Yeah,
if we don't stop.
I'll try.
It's time. I made my point because I just wanted to make a final point about that bullshit, and that was about it. So yeah. So unless Ellie's got anything else to add.
No, I was personally more offended by the lack of paying attention and disregarding of the plot.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been another Critical Tea Pulls on Point, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Later.
See you later.
Bye bye.